Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Today, our fantastic guest was not able to come, so instead we got Mats. I'm kidding, guys. He was our planned guest.
He was.
Hey, babe.
What's going on?
If you haven't listened to the first episode that we did of the podcast together, you wouldn't know that Mats had some issues with breathing on the mic.
Terrible issues.
So now he's very much in his own head and is turning away from the mic every time you're not speaking, right?
Yeah, I just, I know I freaked out a lot of people and wasn't a great look.
No, I did like the comments of people being like, I kept pausing the podcast, like, what is that noise? Thinking it was like in their house.
Is that a bird in my
like,
kitchen?
what is that? Like breathing, whistling, windy noise. And then it was just you breathing.
At least it wasn't like someone behind them or
Oh,
something like that.
Right. That's what you guys think. If you hear some whistling, just think like at least it's not somebody behind you.
Yeah, it's just that
Dun, dun,
weird
dun.
dude that I'm listening to on the podcast.
Exactly. Mats is my boyfriend, if you guys didn't know. And if you didn't know, I feel like that's a really old
If they're
news.
new. If they're new to the show.
If you're new to the show. This is the person I talk shit about on the podcast who wouldn't know because he doesn't listen.
Not true.
You listen?
Yes.
What's the last one you listened to? When I asked him that like 2 months ago, he's like, Sasha's episode. And I was like, oh, so you don't listen regularly.
Because Amanda wasn't even with us.
You don't remember what the last one you listened to was?
No.
Okay. The safe answer is to throw out an Aislinn episode.
Yeah.
That's always the safest one.
Yeah. How many has Aislinn been on?
3?
Four.
I think.
Four?
Oh, wow. She is our most frequented guest.
She gives great advice.
She does give great advice.
Yeah.
I give really good advice too.
Well, yeah, that's why you're the host.
Thanks, babe. Well, guys, if you are new here, this is Don't Blame Me. It's an advice podcast. Melissa's also here, looking fine as hell. So watch the video version too. Yeah. She had a sorority chapter meeting.
Mm-hmm. You'll see the full outfit in a different episode.
Yeah, she's looking glam as hell. Everyone.
I thought you were going to say the full episode of the sorority meeting. And I was like, for sure. Like, bonus content.
GoPro body cam. All about it. Guys, if you want to leave a voicemail for an upcoming episode, the phone number is 310-694-0976. And for our international listeners, you can email us an audio file at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. You impressed that I have it memorized? I don't think I had it memorized last time you were on.
Yeah, she knows that phone number by heart, but she does not know my phone number by heart. What's my phone number? Actually, don't say that.
I only know your area code.
She said that several times on this show, though.
That I don't know your phone number.
In case something happens to her.
I can call the podcast.
Yeah, then she can call the podcast, but that's the only person she can call.
Yeah, how often is the Google Voice account being checked?
Well, it's like every day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Julie will be like, hey, Melissa, Megan's in jail. She left a voicemail. And then I'll get saved.
Yeah.
Or I'll call Sydney. And then Sydney can then call people. Yeah, because she can't do much in San Francisco.
I'll be totally out of the loop, apparently.
100%. I can give everyone your area.
I have your phone number, so I'd call
That's
you.
Exactly.
True. Yeah.
It'd be just a phone tree of someone be like, can anyone figure out if Megan's okay? Who can pick her up? So bad. Okay. Well, is this coming out around before Valentine's Day? After.
So this is like a couple days after. So.
Okay. So it's like a post Valentine's Day episode.
I mean, people are calling with their problems, not for like help with their
love it, like calling to like brag about how great their love life
Nobody's
is.
bragging about this. This is about problems. So this is like post Valentine's Day problem solving.
We're all about problem solving here. I like the drama more than like the gushy stuff anyway. I don't want to hear about like your happiness. I want to hear about your shit. Okay, should we start?
Let's do it.
Let's begin.
Hey, Megan. I'm 20 years old, and I'm in my third year at college. This semester, I became friends with a guy in my class, and he started inviting me over to his house a few times to do homework for class or to just hang out. I got to meet all his roommates, and I ended up actually liking one of them. The issue is the guy in my class got in a fight with me because I was talking to him and then admitted that he had feelings for me, which I told him that I liked his roommate and was not attracted to him in that way. I don't know if I should stop talking to them because of this situation. I'm still very attracted to his roommate and want to have sex with him, honestly, which is pretty rare for me. But I stopped talking to him as much since the fight with his friends that's in my class. And I also don't want the guy that's in my class to feel like I'm leading him on. So if you have any advice on how you would navigate this situation. Thanks.
Ooh. What? Why are you giving me that look? Do you want to start? Take it away.
Actually had a very similar situation in college with one of my best friends.
Yeah.
We were...
Who won?
He did.
Oh, I know which friend this is then.
Yeah, you do. You met him.
Yeah,
Great guy.
He's a cutie.
We had I think it was an anthropology or sociology or something like that. And there was a girl that was in like our smaller like study group, and we both were into her. And at first it was like kind of a joke. Like we were both like, oh yeah, you're into blank, and oh yeah, and then it kind of got progressively more competitive like over the course of like 6 weeks.
Wow, it must be great to be that girl. Like I would have fucking loved that.
And there was I like a school party or a date night or something, and she like made her intentions known. I came out on the short end of the stick.
It's okay, you got me.
Yeah, worked out obviously. And I think like at that point, I know like she's asking for advice, but I wish the guy would kind of like, you can't control how anybody feels. And if that's the way she feels, like don't waste your time fighting with your friend or fighting with the girl because it's not going to work in your favor anyway. Like you're out of college. I'm sure there are other like suitable like girls or people that you can hang out with that are not her. I just, in college, it just doesn't seem, unless you really like someone, you're in a relationship with them, it just seems kind of pointless to like attach so much weight to someone that just, doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Cause I think the whole thing is like, it's not like, obviously the situation's not ideal, but it's also like, you didn't lead this guy on by being friends with him. Like that's the part that I'm like, okay, so you like if you already were able to develop a crush on his roommate, you like obviously weren't doing anything romantic with this other guy. Like you guys were just friends. And so I think that's fine. I think if he does, maybe he has too much pride to say like the guy who likes you, maybe he has too much pride to say like, oh, it's going to be too hard to be friends. But like, yeah, maybe you do pull back because you don't, not like to not give him the wrong idea, but also just so like he can get over you. And then I think you're like kind of in the clear to talk to the roommate, but like that's the roommate's call. Like I don't think that unless this guy that from your class was like one of your really, really, really good friends, I don't think you owe him anything. Like, I think like you didn't lead him on or mislead him by being like flirting with him and all, or not even. But then who cares?
Was honest with him. Too.
Yeah, exactly.
You've already told him that you're not interested in him.
I also don't think it's her fault. I mean, her responsibility to protect like their roommate relationship. Like if his roommate wants to like, if he's also into you and like he wants to also pursue that, like I think that's on him and then their relationship. I don't think she has to do anything about it.
And don't hang out like at their place. Hang out in other
Just
places.
be respectful.
Yeah.
No, it kind of sounds like she wants to be the bigger person, but she's already been the bigger person. Like she was honest, I'm sure she wasn't like overly like cruel or mean with how she was honest. So like, I think you're right. Like you've already been the bigger person. You don't have to like worry about their relationship. That sounds like the guy's issue. Like if he can't separate those feelings, like that's something he has to work on. And just like one like general thing for guys, if a girl like agrees to be your study buddy, or like you work together and like she goes to lunch with you at work or anything like that, doesn't mean the girl likes you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like that's not like the first indication that a girl likes you. That's like the first indication that she
Tolerates
likes you
your
as
existence.
a person, maybe as a person. And if anything develops past that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. There's a lot of guys who are like, oh, this girl, like, we occasionally go to like trivia night together. She must really want to have sex with me.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. No, it's all the guys being like, oh, you led me on. You're like, I responded to you when you texted me. And when you asked me if I wanted to hang out, I said, sure. It's like, how is that leading on at all?
Right. It's just being friends.
Yeah. Or being friendly. And the whole thing is too, it's like, I don't know. I'm like a big fan of confrontation and just figuring shit out like right at the beginning. So like that kind of shit would drive me crazy. But I think you have every right to like do what you want to do without like avoiding just not going out of your way to do things that would hurt somebody's feelings in like not like a valid way. Like everyone's feelings are valid, but like you don't have to protect him and the relationship between him and his roommate because that's not up to you. And also, who knows, maybe his roommate will be like, oh no, this is going to be too difficult for me. This is going to be awkward. So I'm not going to make that call. So I wouldn't stress about it because it's not your responsibility to make those calls. Like let them deal with the messy shit. Even though I like throwing myself into the messy shit. I'm like, this is fun. Confrontation. Except other people's. You just roll your eyes a little bit. We have video proof.
No comment.
Okay. Fuck off.
Everybody just
Fuck
rewind 20 seconds and comment below.
Did he roll his eyes at me?
Video can be doctored.
Fake news.
Exactly.
Oh, fuck off. Okay. Should we go on to the next?
Hi, Megan. I am 18 years old, and I just have a quick question. So I have been super attracted to bad boys my whole life. Like boys with problems, boys that like have mommy issues, just like boys that have a lot of problems. And recently I like haven't been dating anyone. It's been about like a couple years since I've dated anyone. And I just like took a break from it. And then I found this boy that I've been talking to. We met on Tinder, LOL, but we have been talking a long time and we had our first date yesterday. And I thought he was the greatest. He's interested in everything that I'm interested in. Like, we've been talking for a couple months, and then we finally met. And come to find out, he is on probation. And, you know, I really like him, and he's interested in all the things that I'm interested in. But I don't know if I should go on with this. Like, I just don't know if bad boys are my thing, like if I should stay away. But I really like him and I really enjoy him, and we are super similar. We've gone through dramatic weight loss and stuff like that, like super similar. So my question is, should I keep this going even though he is on probation and he does have a history, or should I cut it off because it's not good for me in the long run? You can be completely honest. I fully give you permission, and I love your podcast and your show. I listen every week, and yeah, I love you. Goodbye.
I love 18-year-olds' capacity to sound like they've like lived the life.
Don't be mean.
No, you've like experienced life, but like also realize you're 18. You have a lot of life to go.
Yeah,
that's very true. Okay, as somebody who like likes bad boys,
Mons is not a bad boy.
I mean, let's be real. You kind of are. You're not a bad. No, you're not. You're probably. You're 100% the least bad boy I've ever like dated. But like, you're still like a former fuck boy.
There's a difference between a fuckboy and a bad boy, though.
No, that's what I mean. Like, that's like, this is like, not that I was gonna say I settled for something. No, but I'm saying like, it's not like as much as like I dated like terrible bad boys. That's the whole thing. It's like, you just have to figure out what it is that you're attracted to in that. So then like for me, I dated a bunch of drug dealers. Like I had a whole string of dating drug dealers and drug addicts, like that whole thing. And so for me, it was kind of like, when I like looked at it from that perspective of like, oh, I'm into guys like this, we're like, yeah, fuck the school, I'm gonna get expelled. And then like as I got into college, like, fuck the police, like I'm gonna do stupid shit, like
dating NWA.
No, but like just so bad. But like but then like for me, as I got older, I kind of realized like, okay, I'm not like attracted to guys with a criminal record. Like I'm attracted to guys who like are confident in their decisions, but like that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be confident in their decision to like disregard the law. Like there are things that you can be attracted to in people. Like I like guys who just like they're sure in where they're going and they like have drive, and that drive doesn't always have to be like selling drugs. Like it can be something else. So if you can break down what that is that you are attracted to, like is it something like someone who has their shit together? Like that can be like something like someone who, yeah, they just seem confident and all of that kind of stuff. I would love to fucking know what he's on probation for.
Yes, that should have been your number one thing that you told us, because then we can judge better.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's, in all seriousness, if he's on probation for like a violent crime,
that's like a hard pass.
Get away.
Yeah.
If he's on probation for like drinking or like drugs, that's like a little bit more of a gray area, obviously.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, and also like do we know how young he is or how old he is?
She didn't say.
Because I'd say too, that also like depends on like that kind of age. Like, is this something that like is not like he's on probation, but is this something that was like, oh, I did this when I was like 17, or I did this when I was like younger and this is stupid? Like, is it kind of like a young stupid thing that he learned his lesson, or is this like oh yeah, I've been stealing cars for the last like 7 years of like my he's 12. Like
Are you saying she's dating Doug Judy?
No, we just watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
No, this week's episode's so good. Yeah,
I loved it. But yeah, so like if it's something that like it's a like, do you know what I mean? Like something like that, as opposed to, I don't know, something that he realized was really stupid and really dumb.
Judy did.
Like Doug Judy.
He realized.
Yeah.
He's
now DJ's bar mitzvah.
Oh my God, loved it. Such a good show, guys. But yeah, I think that's kind of what you need to figure out. And yeah, I also wouldn't, I like, as much as I say now at 25, I'm like, oh, I that was my type and I dated that whole string of guys. I wasn't aware of it when I was younger. So I think being aware of it is really good and really great that you do tend to go for these guys. But I wouldn't say like accepting that as your type, because I think the hardest thing to do is kind of realize that you do, I don't know, like have a pattern in the kinds of people that you pick. It took me a long time to realize that. So now that you've already realized that, don't be like, well, I guess this is just like what I fucking do, because it's not fun. Like, you've seen those movies. It's never fun to be like the wife or the girlfriend of the guy who gets arrested. Like, she's always like in a shit place, you know? Like, they've got a panic room. Like, it's not good. So I would just...
what crime did this person commit?
I don't know. I'm also thinking back to the time that Aislinn went on a date with a guy, but he was a convicted felon. Yeah. He was on... was it probation that he was on? No, he was waiting on trial. And we never got his last name, so we don't know. He also had like 7 felonies.
Why did she go out with somebody she didn't get his last name?
It was a dating app.
Because
so?
he was
no,
like,
but she didn't think about, oh, let me write down his last name. And then when she got home from the date after he told her he was a convicted felon, he had deactivated his profile, so she couldn't find his last name.
He was, like he had a certain roguish charm.
No, he was a fucking chef, which also
was
like
this someone that you picked for her?
No, okay. This was, believe me, this was pre that. And she was like, I'm not relinquish
She would
this.
not pick a chef.
What? No, I wouldn't. Because because of the fact that like chefs, if we want to go, I mean, below deck, like Adam, great, love him. But I would just, I'm just like suspicious of any sort of like job that has like the stereotype of like being very egotistical. Like a chef is like, it's like we've all seen chef. Except he was so nice.
I would
Gordon
say
Ramsay.
You should definitely like call in for follow up or
let us know what it is.
But I will bet you $100 right now the boyfriend's older than her. Like
like
by
significantly.
more than 3 years.
Okay. Oh, that's a good game, guys.
Yeah.
So you got to call us and let us know how much older is he than you. And
That's that if he is like 4 years older than you and he's on probation.
yeah,
I
that's
feel like he's like 10 years older.
shut up.
Ooh.
Oh, do you think by she means bad boys, she means she dates like old bad guys? Like guys. I'm just thinking someone in a wheelchair, like running
old.
red lights.
I said 10 years.
That's
That's
true.
28.
Okay, true.
Like guys that log on to their Facebook at the library.
Yeah, they're like, I need a web cafe, an internet cafe. But yeah, call us back. Let us know what he's on probation for and like what the age difference is and all of that stuff, because then we can give you better advice.
Yeah.
But I think just in general, don't pigeonhole yourself to be like, my type of guys is sucky. You know, don't do that because it's not going to end well for you. Okay, on to the next.
Hey, Megan. I am recently turned 22, and I am in this amazing relationship with my boyfriend, and we are actually expecting our first baby in May. But my question is that whenever me and him first started dating, we obviously had a very open conversation about sex and what we like out of sex, our experience with sex, and then also the topic of sexual partners came up. And, you know, he told me that he'd only been with 3 people, and then I told him I'd only been with 1, when actuality I've been with 3 as well. But in my mind, I don't count 2 of them because they were like one-night stands, and there was horrible sex, and I never saw those guys again. So they don't count to me, but I don't know if that is me lying to him, you know? So sometimes I feel guilty that, you know, I told him the number that isn't, you know, exactly correct, but other times it's like, does it matter? Does it need to matter to him if it doesn't matter to me? So I don't know. I'm just curious what you think or your thoughts on that. Thanks so much.
Well, my instinct reaction is my number is like a guesstimate. So I don't think that like being 2 off is bad at all. Even if that means that like you know what I mean? Like if that means you're forgetting 2, I feel like I might forget 2, and I wouldn't consider that lying. I also think that as just women in general, if sex is so terrible, you shouldn't have to count it. And also you don't have to count anything in general. Like if you don't want to, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's like a big deal. I think if he was like, if you had told him that he was the only person you had ever slept with, I think that can kind of be a little off. But I mean, I think just like she said, like if it doesn't matter to her, why, like, do you know what I mean? Like even then telling him it's going to sound like it matters to you, and that it should, like, I'm a big believer in like, if you don't think that there's like validity to something or something's not important to you, by bringing it up you make it important, even if you're like, oh, by the way, this isn't important. But like the second that you kind of give it that space, like it makes like it seem. Do you disagree?
No, I guess I can't tell if like the emphasis that you've attached to the number is, and speaking like to the caller, is your emphasis, like, or is it because like he like has attached a lot of emphasis to the fact that you're like the only one he...
Wait, I thought she was...
She said she slept with 1 other person.
Oh, okay.
So she said she slept with 2 and he slept with 3?
Yeah, but they've actually slept... She told him that she slept with 1 other person, but she's actually slept with 3 other people. But so they've actually slept with the same amount of people.
Yeah.
I guess I would say if you have a kid coming in May, you got a lot bigger things to worry about than this. So yeah, I mean...
Like, would you care? Like, would you care?
This.
Like, I'm saying, no, if it was you and me, though, would you care if I was like, oh, psych, it's, honestly, I would have to count on my fingers, like 9 or some, so I don't,
no.
Between like 8 and 11?
I wouldn't care. And I think that's like the kind of thing, like, as you get older, like it's not even really like a consideration.
No.
Yeah.
I realized like something like when I was like 20, and if a girl had been like, I've slept with X amount of guys, I'd be like, whoa. But
Yeah.
I also think that's not like, I, as a younger guy, I probably shouldn't have reacted that way. It's like this weird emphasis that has been built up.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I agree, because I think like I remember numbers was a huge thing in high school, like talking about it then. So because you guys got together young, that conversation's probably still happening with your peers and stuff. And like your friends are still like asking. Like I remember when I was in college, I like would ask guys that I was like hooking up with, most of them, if I was sober and we were having conversations of being like, oh, like who I was dating, it was like, oh, how many partners have you had? But then as I got older, it was like, when was the last time you got tested? Like it didn't become about like the number once you kind of get older. And so I would say, I think that like this is just, and like not to be ageist or whatever, like I think this is a really typical thing that you talk about in your like early 20s when you're dating. So if you have friends who are single and they're having that conversation with you about people and like all that kind of stuff. But I think if you guys hadn't ended up together until you were like 27, 28, I don't think that like you would be harboring so much on those numbers.
I don't think it would even come up.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't, like, I think it's like admirable that that you feel guilty for lying to him about this. I would say like if it's the kind of thing, like if you're struggling with whether or not to tell him and be like, I've actually slept with 2 other people.
Yeah.
If it's really going to upset him, I don't know if I would bring it up.
Yeah. No, I think the whole thing is like you're saying that I think what you're asking, and I might be wrong, is like if you should care about this more than you do, because you're saying like what she's saying is that like she's like, I don't find this important at all, but like should I find this important because like the number is not huge. Do you know what I mean? Like there's only
they've slept with the same amount of people.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is like,
I think you should care less.
Yeah, this is not like a Monica and Richard situation. We just watched that last night too, where Richard has slept with 2 people.
2 people.
And then Monica said that she had slept with
less than a ballpark.
Yeah. And he was like, what? Friends. And like panicked. But yeah, no, I don't think that you need to feel like this is, and like as somebody who hates lying, I don't think you need to feel like this is a lie. Also so much because like, I mean, I have friends who like didn't even discover their sexuality until they were like later, and they don't count the girls that they've slept with as people that they slept with, like now that they're out as like gay, as men. That's what I mean. It's like, I don't think you necessarily need to.
I think this
I
is
say
like
don't
a
say it.
non-issue.
Yeah.
Like you should be thinking about the child that is going to be entering your life very soon.
Why, and wondering why you feel guilty. It
Yeah.
feels like there's like a root to something. Like why is the reason that you feel guilty about this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So reflect on that and don't worry too much about the other stuff. Okay. Best of luck with your baby. I hope you're naming it Megan Melissa.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that a good name?
It is a great name.
So cute. Do you want to be Mott's in it too? Amanda in it too? All of us? Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, we are back from our break and we're going to hop into the rest of the calls.
Hey, Megan. So I am 21, and my best friend is also 21. She's a few months older than me. She turned 21 in July, and I turned 21 in September. So basically, okay, a little backstory. So my best friend has a boyfriend, and they've been together for less than 6 months. And she basically told me the other day that they are planning on getting married. And I have nothing against.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Like, young marriage. I think it's the sweetest thing ever. Like, I follow a few bloggers who are married young, and I love them. It's, yes. But in my opinion, like, marriage is just such an important decision that I feel like she's just, like, doing it quickly because, like, she loves him and because, like, they'll be good together and because, like, it would help him get his papers because he's Portuguese and he's, like, doesn't have his documentation. So basically, like, it's just crazy because we've talked about it and I'm like, okay, I support you. But whenever I bring up, like, oh, like, like, are you sure? Like, mind you, he's only 20. I didn't add that. He's only 20 years old. He has a good financial job. He gets paid good. But they don't live on their own yet. And my family is very, like, big on, like, if you get married, you move out, like, you have your own life, like, you're grown. And I just, like, I know you're going to say it's none of my business because it really isn't, but she's literally like a sister to me. And I just don't want her to, like, get married and then something happens down the line and it's just like, oh, like, I don't want to be like, I told you to wait. But it's like, basically my question is, how do I come about, like, not making her wait, but, like, making her notice that, like, she's doing it too soon? Because, like, I know her like the back of my hand, and she's literally, like, she's, like, rushing into this to help him get his papers. And I'm like, I know that's the reason. And it just gives me literally so much anxiety. Like, I know it's not my life, but she's my best friend, and I love her, and I want the best for her. So, yeah, just please give me some good advice, because I don't know what to do with her. Thanks, bye.
True story. We had a friend when we first moved out here. A friend of a friend. He was this French guy, and he legit ran this scam to get his papers.
Okay.
Like, he found a girl, like, in a West Hollywood club. French guy, like, date her for a couple months. Very, like, tall, good looking, suave guy. They got, like, a quickie marriage and then got divorced like 5 months later. I have no idea.
Does it have to be a year? It has to be a year, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be longer.
Then whatever, like, the
for it
shortest
to not look
amount
like
of time.
suspicious.
Yeah, you watched the proposal. Come on.
Oh, true. It's a proposal situation.
Yeah, I have a friend
Except
that
with Paulo from Lisbon.
I have a friend that did marry a guy. This was before gay marriage was legal, and she married a gay guy because he needed his papers.
Yeah.
And it was a shit show for her, and she didn't even have feelings for him at all. So if your friend actually has feelings, then I just can't imagine if they don't end up working out. Like, I can't imagine this being good.
Well,
I can't see this one working.
Well,
out.
this is what I'm gonna say though. So one of my friends, her boyfriend is Italian, and her boyfriend is Italian, and they'd been together for a good amount of time. Like, it was definitely more than 6 months, but, like, it wasn't a crazy long amount of time. And, like, they had to have serious conversations, like, pretty early on about, like, okay, I'm here on, like, a work student or work visa. And, like, if they were going to continue dating, are we going to do that long distance, or, like, what would happen? And they had, like, a serious conversation about, like, they thought, like, you know what, like, push comes to shove, like, we would probably get married. Like, it would just make it easier in that sense of it. And it wasn't, like, such a serious thing. He ended up getting his green card in the lottery, like, in a green card lottery. So they ended up not getting married. But, like, I think, like, if your friend is going to go through, like, exactly like you said, the fucking headache of it all. Like it is. And like, I have another friend of a friend who like went through this with their girlfriend. Like it's so hard and such a fucking shit show that like they don't make it easy for you.
No.
So like the first fucking meeting that you go to, it's gonna like potentially scare the shit out of her. And if she really, really wants to go through with it, that's because she really, really, really does love him. She's going to be, as much as you're trying to protect her, more than anything, like the United States is like, hey, fuck off, we don't want anybody here, that kind of thing. Like, so I don't think that you need to like play that like voice of reason, because no matter what, it's gonna come from a personal place as a friend versus like someone who's like a third party, like government employee who's going to be trying to like really like rattle them in a way that really see how much she wants it. And I think the only thing that happens from you inserting yourself in the situation is just going to make her mad at you and resent you. And I will also say, like, your feelings with your family, like marriage means you move out and all of that kind of stuff. Like, that's your family. That's like what your view, and not everyone's view of marriage is the same. I think, yes, getting divorced totally would suck. But I also if that's not death, like that's not the worst thing that could happen in your life. Think if people want to, I don't know, like put labels on things with government involvement or not, I don't think it's your business to protect people. And you need to let people make their own mistakes. But at the same time, maybe there's like a part of you that like doesn't like, I mean, if my best friend got married at like 21, I would be pissed, because I would be like, I was like single at 21. And it was kind of like, well, you're my best friend. Like, I don't want this. Like, that's my friends and I joke about like the first one to get married. It's like, who's going to leave the party the earliest? Like, who's going to go first? And I think like maybe there's a part of you that doesn't, feel like you're end up going to losing your friend to the situation, which I think then just make an effort with your friendship with her. But if you spend your whole time in your friendship and she's basically like your sister, like giving her advice, like unsolicited advice on this, I just don't think then if anything did happen, she's not going to come to you because she doesn't feel like you're going to be able to like listen and support her without saying, I told you so.
I think the main thing is that she's worried about her friend being heartbroken if this doesn't work out. And your friend can be heartbroken
you
in
can't.
any type of relationship. I know marriage is like something that's way more official.
Yeah.
And she could have to go through like a lot of terrible things, but I feel like this is a lesson you can say your feelings, but it's ultimately it's going to be a lesson that she has to learn on her own. Yeah,
you can't protect people from like all of the hardship that they're going to face in their lives. And also, as somebody who's like done that and like told friends like, oh, I don't think this, or even like with like
you married someone so they could get their green card. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, babe. This is how he's here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. You're welcome. No, but like I have definitely like when I was younger kind of said my shit on my friends and who they dated. And like, if I didn't like their relationship or something like that. And as I've gotten older, I've kind of been like, you know what? Like, this is something that like the only thing that ever did it was, unless it was like a really extreme situation, which even in the extreme situations, all I did was create like divide and tension between me and my friends, and then made them feel like when shit did inevitably hit the fan, like I, the smart person, knew it would, they didn't talk to me about it. Like, and I think if you really care about her as a sister and a friend, I think your responsibility is just to be there for her own happiness. And yes, logically, you can think like, well, statistically, this might not work and all of these things. But if this is going to make her happy right now, you just have to be in that camp, like, and just so she can talk to you about it.
Yeah, I mean, statistically speaking, that's probably not going to work out.
Mott's is a Capricorn.
That's
young
true.
Marriage, it's like much higher rate of attrition, and with the extra like variable of a non-American national getting married. I think your instincts are probably right, but if your instinct is you don't want to lose your friend, Megan is probably right. You really should probably keep your peace, and if things work out, then that's a really great story and congratulations to them. And if it doesn't, then that's when you can kind of swoop in as a good friend and be like, it sucks. Yeah. As Megan said, it's not death or like a health scare or anything. It's something that can be worked through, and then you can be the great friend that sounds like you are then.
I would say the only thing I'll add to that is I don't know if you've said anything to her already or if this is just like subtle hints, but I think like you do, if it will make you feel better, I also think it could be a great thing just to like take her to coffee and be like, I just want to have a conversation with you. I know you are so happy and you're so in love, but I just want to let you know at any point during this and say like, I really like him. I think he's awesome. I think you guys are great together. You seem so happy. I know that like this is going to be a really difficult process. And I just want you to know at any point, if you start to freak out and you're like, oh my gosh, am I making the right decision? Like talk to me about it. Like I'm going to be here for you through the whole thing. So open up that door of communication, because maybe she is panicking and freaking out underneath it all and no, you haven't said anything. But I think if you just kind of lay it there of being like, hey, how can I help you during this process to like make this easier for you? Like, I know this is going to be a tough time. Like, let me know what I can do. And like, I'm your best friend. Like I'm always here. Like if you need anything, she'll know what that means. And then you can kind of keep that line of communication open. But if you've already said shit on shit on shit on shit, I think like this is where you just like stop and you're just supportive of her happiness. And cross your fingers that it works out. On to the next.
Hi, Megan. I am 28 years old, and I am married to my husband. We've been married for 3 years, and we have a new baby. And he's a really great husband, a great dad. We're best friends and soulmates. The only problem is he doesn't really understand, in my perspective, mental health as far as anxiety, social anxiety, and depression. So I suffer from all three. Lucky me, every once in a while. I usually deal with it pretty well. I've had it for as long as I can remember, so I have my own little techniques to deal with it. But recently I've decided that I need to be telling people when I'm not feeling the best. So if I'm feeling anxious or dissociative, I feel like I need to let him know, because if I don't, it'll come out as me having anger or just being sad and snapping at him for no reason. So last night I was sitting on the couch and I just got hit with a wave of anxiety, I guess, and kind of like feeling like I wasn't there. So I told him, hey, I'm not feeling that great today, and I just want to let you know that. And his response was, well, what's wrong? We have a perfect life. We have a great life. Everything's fine. What's the problem? And we've had this conversation many times before, and then it leads to an argument, and it leads to him being mad at me, and then I'm even more upset, and I'm crying, and then he storms away because he doesn't understand. So what I'm wondering is, how do you deal with your significant other or friends or family, and whenever you're trying to express your mental health to them and they just don't understand it? And he wants to try to help, and I try to tell him all I need him to do is just comfort me, maybe give me a hug, but he still really doesn't get it. And I'd hate it to become arguments, because that's the last thing you want to do when you're feeling depressed or anxious, is to argue. Okay, so if you have any advice for that, that'd be great. Thank you. Love your podcast. Bye.
I figured this would be the perfect one for this episode.
Mott's is feeling targeted.
So did you like put like, is this like one of your friends that's
No.
just calling
No.
in? No, I know.
Well, we're all friends.
We are all friends.
Yeah.
They're little fuckers in us.
Well, as if our facial expressions didn't give it away, this is obviously very pertinent to our lives, this call. I guess I would say, as someone has been in your husband's position, and like we've been making jokes over the podcast that I'm a Capricorn. The generalization is that Capricorns like are unemotional and very like cold, and which
I'm an Aquarius, so
holds some water, kind of true.
Yeah.
There's some truth to that. Certainly with me, like I will fully say that like emotion and like overt emotion is definitely something that like makes me uncomfortable, and like I definitely have to think about it more and like be more aware of like how I react to it, because my normal reaction is to be like, peace.
It feels
like,
good.
Yeah, but I would say like you should just you have to like keep talking to your husband, because that's the only thing that's like really helped me with like that, because I like what you just described is something that has happened to us like many times. Well, not many times, but okay, many times. And you know, you just have to you have to talk about when it's as you just described in the call, which is random and very much like sometimes it just comes on, and there's not a reason, there's not a trigger, there's not anything like tangible in the moment that makes you feel that way. It's just something that happens to you and you have to deal with it. And I would say the other thing that's important is when it does happen and there is a reason, like something happens, you feel sad about it, you need to talk about that too. Because I think like being very like communicative about the times when it's just there isn't a trigger and the times that there are will be like helpful for him to like be more empathetic, more understanding, and more better equipped to not storm off, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I would say, I think like, I don't know what you've talked to him about in like things that make you feel better, but we've had that conversation so many times of like, yeah, this will happen where I will just like be feeling anxious or depressed. And then you'll be like, are we okay? And I'm like, yeah. And then it becomes like, we're arguing about like the origin of it. And I think you're right in the sense that like you should be telling him when it's sparked by something and when it's not sparked by anything. And then also like we've had conversations when I'm not feeling that way, like maybe a day after or something like that, where it'll be like, hey, FYI in general, when I'm feeling really shitty like this is what like will make me feel better, and just reminding of it. And I think like I will even say like it's really hard when you're feeling shitty to then be patient with somebody else and their reaction to it. But also like if he doesn't struggle with that in the same way that you do, because that's the whole thing. It's like, even if you both struggle with like mental health and he just, you guys, everyone goes through it very differently. Even like my friends and I we go through it in very different ways. I think you need to cut him a little bit of slack as well, in the sense that like you should have some conversations with him, not just in the moment, because that's a really heightened, like high stakes experience for both of you. And you're right in the sense that like the last thing that you want to fucking do when you are feeling anxious is then get into a fight about that. But I think if you can like later on, after something like that has happened, or even like before, just striking up a conversation and being like, hey, you know, there are some times where I just will feel really, and just explain really plainly, like I'll feel really terrible and shitty, and it won't be for any reason. I promise you, if it's for a reason, or if it's for something that you said or that you did or that happened in my day, I will totally tell you what it is. But then the times that I'm not telling you, I'm saying that it's based on nothing, is because it is based on nothing. And it's based on like the chemicals in my brain. And this isn't a trick. Like I'm not trying to like not tell you that you did something wrong. Like this isn't sort of some punishment thing. And when I'm in those times, like these are the things that would really help that you could do. And like we've even had that where we'll be having like, I'll like be feeling shitty about something, and like he'll Capricorn it and be like, do you want some space? And I'm like, babe, do I ever want space? And he's like, no, you're right. And so sometimes people's instincts, we are so used to like treating other people how we would want to be treated. So there's some times where like I'm feeling a certain way, and if you were in the situation, you would want to do something differently.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
So your instinct is to be like, I'm going to give someone space. But then in that, maybe your boyfriend, we've had these conversations a lot of the times about like when you're going through something, what you want the other person to do. And then so we usually rely on doing what we would want. So you need to basically really help him see that these are what's going to make you feel a lot better. Versus like, he might not be going about this from like a dick move or being an asshole. This might just be how he would like to break it down and talk about feelings if he was going through it. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's not being understanding of it. He's just doing what he would want. So I think like, I mean, at least like you can say if it's true, but do you feel like if we have a conversation when I'm not feeling shitty about like what makes me feel better, like that sticks more than like in the moment?
Yeah, I think like what you just said is pretty true. Just to be clear, like the two of us both like struggle with depression. And when I'm depressed, like I usually need two things. I need solitude and I need like something to do. So the number one thing I do when I'm depressed and I'm not at work or like otherwise occupied, is go hit golf balls. Because you're by yourself and you're doing something that like takes your mind off whatever is like upsetting you or the fact that you are upset. And so when we were dating earlier in our relationship, because that worked for me, it's human to assume that it works for everyone else. That
Megan, you want to go hit golf balls?
No, but
No, I
like,
know.
like, you know, like, oh,
Physical activity.
if you're not feeling well, like, you know, you need some space. And then like, do you want to read a book or whatever? And that doesn't work for everyone. And I think like when you're talking to him, as Megan said, probably better not to get super deep into it in the moment. Wait until like the day after if you want to be like, hey, yesterday I was feeling really down. When I'm feeling really down, it would really mean a lot to me if instead of like saying, you know, you can't be depressed because we have a great life, which is like, doesn't work that way, dude. You know, can you be great if you would just like sit down and put your arm around me, or like, you know, like, I don't know if your boyfriend's like a naturally funny guy, or like, it'd be great if you sat down and put your arm around me and like told me a funny story or like whatever. But you know, that just, you know, goes back to my earlier point is you have to be like really overly communicative, because when we started dating, especially after we started living together, because I think it's obviously a lot different when you live together. When you don't, you kind of don't have these moments as much. It took some time still working on it, but it definitely took some time to like realize that like what I need when I'm not feeling great is like very different from what Megan needs. And we to this day, like we still work on it. Like there are still times when like I'm depressed and Megan's like, you know, her instinct.
Do you want to
like,
hug? Do you want to talk? Do you want to be clingy?
Do you want to, you know, like and I'm like, no, I really just need to like, I'm going to go like read my book or like watch something that like is meaningful to me, or go hit golf balls. And there's still times when Megan gets depressed. I'm like, oh, this is probably a good time for me to go, you know, watch like Netflix or not. So yeah. But you have to be really, especially if he doesn't know like what that feels like if he's like a type A, always on up person, like you have to be way, way like over the top communicative with him.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I'll end on is like in the moment when you're feeling really anxious and depressed, I think the most important thing is that's not a teaching moment for him. That's like a self-preservation, self-care moment for you. So if you're feeling that way, I don't think it's the time to dive into that kind of conversation. And if he starts to say something like that, just be like, can I just have a hug? That's all. Just say exactly what you want from him. And just be like, I don't really want to talk. Can you just cuddle me? Okay. Is it time for
I wrote it down so I didn't forget this time.
It's going to be 4 words that we just can't do.
It's don't blame them.
Don't blame them.
Which should be easy to remember.
Very easy. You change one. Wait, so this is the true test of the last episode you listened to. Yeah. What is this? Ooh.
That means you haven't listened in like a whole season.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
No, but what's don't blame them?
No, I like
You
I don't-
just
I didn't
listen
make
to
it to
the
the
first
end of my
2
list.
2 minutes and then cut it off.
Yeah.
no. I listen to like I listen to the calls. Oh,
But, yes.
Okay, I'll explain it to your guest. So this is when callers, listeners call in and they give their own advice on previous episodes. Yeah, he has not listened in a long time. That's okay. I told you. I also told him to like lean back out of it because I was talking about him a lot, and I was like, I don't want to listen.
So this is from the episode with Zach Cornfield, where
it's a good episode.
It's a good episode.
I really love that one.
So the original caller, she was getting weird things in the mailbox from her ex, like Target cards and just money, and she hated that he was just like showing up on her property,
Yeah,
and
that's
he
weird.
he wouldn't really say anything.
Also, Target card, step it up. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna send
Maybe an
something.
Olive Garden gift certificate.
Sephora, Amazon.
Right. Amazon would be the
Outback
ultimate.
Steakhouse. That you really want to get back into her heart? Couple bloomin' onions.
That sounds good.
And so the person that's calling in with their advice has similar situation.
Oh my god, all of you guys have stalkers. I've never had I know I shouldn't like be jealous, but
you have gotten a restraining order, haven't you?
Oh, true.
Yeah.
So
it's not as cool. I don't know.
I told you the story about not stalker, but
oh yeah, that's a good one.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I just want to give some advice for one of the callers. This is the episode with Zach, and this is the last call where the girl broke up with her boyfriend that they've been dating for 2.5 years, and he sends her stuff in the mail, and she's uncomfortable. You mentioned that, if he continues to come to her house, that she can get a restraining order. Actually, she can and probably should get a restraining order right away, and she doesn't need any more evidence. I was also in a relationship for 2.5 years where my ex was extremely toxic and emotionally and just verbally abusive. And what happened was when we broke up, he didn't take it very well, and I was scared to death. So what I did was I took screenshots of every single thing he's said to me, and then I printed all of them out and I filed for a restraining order. And then we summoned him, we took him to court, and with the evidence that I had provided, which were just merely screenshots, the judge granted me a restraining order. And even if he doesn't show up for court, given the evidence that I've had, I could have still gotten a restraining order. So the caller shouldn't have to wait any longer. If she feels uncomfortable, she should probably go and file a restraining order right now, today. And it's free. And even if, she feels like he's no longer a threat, it's just for that peace of mind, that knowing that if he does ever try anything again, he's going to get in trouble. So that's that.
Not to defend myself, but I did say it, and you probably didn't hear on the original call, that it depends on what state you're in. So I had said I didn't know what state that she was in. So my only experience with restraining orders is in California. And I also don't even know if it's different county to county. Like no, I don't know.
I think it would be state law.
Yeah. All I know is my lawyer had told me when I was like, how do I get a restraining order? That they were like, the next time that they're on your property, which they were, then it was like, you need to call the cops to have a record. And once you have a call and record of them being on your property, you're going to be able to get that. That was a requirement. Also, maybe it's changed in the last like 2 or 3 years. Who cares
You don't
when
have
it
to
was?
put a date on it.
Yeah. Why are you looking at me?
What?
You're like looking at me
I
like,
was-
what was the date?
Do you
again?
not remember what I'm talking about?
Of course I remember
Oh,
what
okay.
you're talking about.
Okay, well,
But
you
I don't
just-
remember the time.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know if that's also changed. So yeah, no, I definitely think like 100% that that's the thing that you should go through. And I think it's great. Hopefully California has actually changed the laws where you don't need to have had them on your property, which I always thought was really fucking backwards. And it made no sense for like celebrities who had stalkers, where it was like, oh no, you have, the next time they're on your property, you need to like call. And it was like, this is so creepy that you kind of have to wait for this. And I had a friend who, it took her a really long time to get a restraining order against somebody who was like violent, because she had to wait until like it posed an imminent threat, like physically, like in like a certain vicinity, like of where she lived. So yeah, so I think like it's I'm sure read up on the laws. But I definitely think before, like if the other caller from the original call is listening, I don't even necessarily really remember everything I had said in that, but I think like the most helpful information you can get is calling the police immediately and saying, and they'll tell you like, hey, yes, these are the steps that you need to take, or like, this is what you can do now. And like, this is their job. They're very helpful. So if I made it seem in the original call that like you needed to wait, it was more like this was my own experience. In California. Yeah. And my own personal experience. It might not even be the same anymore. And that it doesn't mean that I think that that's something you should do. It was just something that I had to go through those, like check off those boxes in order to get to where I got.
Yeah. And maybe documenting everything as too.
Always. So many pictures, so many screenshots of everything. That's we should have definitely said that the first time, but that's what I did. I'd like, don't throw away things if you're in the situation.
Yeah, well, that was what the caller gave me advice.
No, she's right.
She like, yeah.
She Veronica Mars to that shit.
It's never been easier to document everything. So take advantage.
It's very true. Yeah. Well, guys, that is it for our episode. Thanks, babe, for being on.
Always a pleasure.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, this was always really fun.
Did you like it more than the first time?
I thought the advice was a little bit better this time. I will say that the one call we had the last time about
wait, I don't even remember.
Oh, you don't remember?
It was a whole year ago.
Yeah.
So. About the young woman whose boyfriend's mom was like really good friends with his ex-girlfriend. Do you not remember that?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That has lived with me. That's such an entertainment.
But you have to keep in mind that we hear like
we
a
hear
lot of calls.
So much shit. Not shit, but like we hear a lot.
Yeah, but that was like go back and listen to that episode.
Okay, we will.
Comedy.
One of the boyfriend's mom ones that forever lives in my brain is the boyfriend's mom who told the girl that she needed to get a boob job because her boobs were too small.
He hasn't listened because that was recent.
It was recent. So well,
have to catch up.
Thanks for being on, babe. Happy belated Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, well, happy pre-Valentine's Day.
No, it's belated when this is up.
I know, but we're recording it.
Okay, well, you're ruining like the podcast magic. Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode and you watched it, check it out on the podcast app or on Stitcher or on SoundCloud, or just go to don'tblameme.show to figure out where you can listen to it. And if you're listening, go watch the video version. See how awkwardly far apart Mons and I are sitting this whole time. I swear we're dating. Yep, there's an awkward handhold, all of it.
Yeah.
Looks very forced.
It was weird. That was weird.
We're just like at that point we've been dating long. You know when you see couples who do like YouTube videos, they've been dating for like 4 months and they're all
like
over each
sitting
other.
on top of each other.
Like on each other's lap. And it's like, this is what like comfortability is. This is what like, I don't know how long, 3 years, 3.5 years, something.
That's you don't even know.
No, don't even know anymore.
Don't care.
Nope, not at all. No, you can't. But if you guys want to follow us on Instagram, we're at Don't Blame Meme Pod. I already said you can watch the video version. And if you want to follow Melissa and I, our socials will be listed down below. And if you want to call in for a future episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners can leave us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com.
And I got just a couple house cleaning things. If you're calling in to give advice or calling back for the bonus episodes, please let us know what episode that the call is from. Just because we get so many.
Okay. Well, guys, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.